by
It's combined with,
Daniel Gold in Le'ila Nishmas El Yakim. What's his full?
Eliakim Alexander ben Hanatamar Abram.
You're talking about Kinslinger?
El Yakim Kinslinger, Eliakim Alexander ben Avraham
Yeah, and
Ben Abraham. and Tamar,
and Hanatamar.
Hannah Tamar,
Hannah.
Hannah Tamar. Anyway,
Wow.
El Yakim was a young man. He spent many years here in the shul. He spent many years with Rabbi Brandwein, and he passed away tragically from probably a blood clot or something after a bad fall in an operation. And just one thing I want to say about El Yakim, he was always curious. He was in advertising and PR. He did a lot of things for the shul, and he always saw things in a new light. And I remember Rabbi Tendler saying, if you want to have a yeshiva of bachrim that are going to excel, they can't think they know everything.
Which channel said this?
Mordechai.
Oh.
You have to have people who are open. They're open to looking at things in new ways, not closed. Anyway, so that's one beautiful thing about Yakim. We'll also do Shalosh Shudis is sponsored in his memory as well. So it's about Brandwein's Yahrzeit coming up, so we'll do more about that on Shabbos. Okay.
You can call and give to the.
Yeah, you could add on to the Shalosh Shudis. So a lot of actually people coming up from Florida. It's, Jody Tasha's coming all the way up from Florida for
Really?
For El Yakim.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have our new Gemaras here. So we're doing Daf 22. We're going to be doing a lot of Tosefos and Rishonim as well. So number one is Danny asked a very good question. He said, if you're not cooking, you're going to other people's homes, do you have to make an Eruv Tavshillin? And the answer is, according to Tosefos, if you plan on lighting Shabbat candles on Yom Tov, you have to make an Eruv Tavshillin.
sorry, Rabbi, can you say what that is? The Eruv Tavshillin?
No. That's a halachic mechanism that allows you to cook on Friday afternoon, which is a Yom Tov for Shabbos. Usually you can't cook on Yom Tov for the next day. Mm-hmm. But with this Eruv Tavshillin, you're permitted to.
Like this year on Pesach, you have 2 days.
Pesach is coming up. You're going to need to make an Eruv Tavshillin to be able to cook on Friday of the second day of Yom Tov for Shabbos. Okay.
Why lighting candle is considered ochel?
So that's a good question. What exactly is lighting candles? We know that on the one hand, ochel nefesh, anything that you're allowed to do to prepare for food, including cooking, is permitted on Yom Tov. So a candle has
From
an
the
add. A candle, lighting a candle from an existing flame, has an added leniency, which is that according to the Rambam, there's no real prohibition. There's no limit. Not everyone agrees with the Rambam, starting with Tosefos. But according to the Rambam, there is no problem with lighting candles. I want to light 100 candles because I think it's nice. Go ahead and light 100 candles. Because there's only two things the Gemara compares to being more permissive, and that's Hotzah and Havara. Hotzah is carrying on Yom Tov, which according to Rashi is much more lenient, that you could really carry Midoraisa. You could carry anything on Yom Tov, whether you need it or not. The rabbis limit it a little bit. And the same thing for lighting a candle. You can light a candle if you want to light a candle, whatever you're lighting it for, as long as you have some purpose.
You mean even from a match? Only from
No, from an existing flame.
So even a yard light.
Again, the nature of the Gemara is I can't get into all the halachas of each thing, so we can cover the ground.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's a valid question. Okay. You with me?
So a yard light candle is not for light, it's for you can light a yard light candle on Shabbos? I mean on Yom Tov?
Now, you can't light anything on Shabbos.
On Yom Tov.
So let's look at this. Let's break it because there's a lot of questions, but I want to get to the answers. Can you do halakas nero Shabbos when you didn't make an Eruv Tavshillin? That's really I don't know if that was your question, but that is a question. So it's actually a debate between the Rambam and Tosefos. The Rambam says you can go ahead, you light Shabbos candles, even though you didn't make this Eruv Tavshillin. Now let's start with the Gemara. Gemara on 22a1 says the following. Actually, we'll back it up to 21b4. The Gemara says, the last paragraph, the Gemara elaborates on Rav Huna's explanation. Rav Huna l'tameh, 24:1b4. Rav Huna's explanation reflects his own opinion that he already explained. The Amar Rav Huna says, Mi shelo haniach Eruv Tavshillin. Somebody who didn't make the Eruv Tavshillin, which is, we usually make it an egg and a challah roll, or a piece of chicken and a challah roll. And we say, with this, we'll be permitted to cook and to bake and to light candles and to do things from Yom Tov to Shabbos. It's like a legal permission. So somebody who doesn't do that, ofen lo pas achas, his family presumably, they can only do the minimum. They can make him one loaf of bread. Mavashal lo kader achas, they can bake him one dish. And here's the most important line, 22a1, umalikin loy es haner. They can light for him a candle or a fire. And Rabbi Yitzchak also says they could also make a little fish for him, etc. Now, the Tosefos says, which is not in the English side, so it's just Chav Beis and Aleph, the top Tosefos. The fact that the Gemara says Madlik lo saner, that you have to limit how many candles you can light. So we don't want you to be in the dark, but you have electric lights. So according to Tosefos says, Mikan mashma shetzarich lahaskir bebirchas Eruv Tavshillin yeheshari levashule v'lafuye v'ladluke v'chulo. From this Gemara, it would seem that when you make the Eruv Tavshillin, you make a bracha, and you say, with this Eruv, it should be permitted for me to cook, to bake, to light candles, etc. Meaning you have to specify. Just because you say, I'm going to cook, doesn't imply that you can light a candle. Cooking is one thing, lighting a candle is another thing.
That thing we say, without after the bracha, does the Gemara say that you have to say that?
Yes, the Tosefos is saying that.
Also, does the Gemara say that? Ever say that?
There's no Gemara that says exact lashon, so it's all by mashmaot. It's all how we derive it from
And for the other Arabs,
the Gemaras.
right? For the other Arabs we have too, right?
Yes.
That
So
gives you
don't keep asking too many questions.
Okay.
Okay, let's answer these questions. If he didn't specify to be able to light candles in the language that he's using, it would seem from that person couldn't go around lighting candles in his house. He would only be permitted one candle. Why? Because since the Gemara mentions lighting a candle, that he can only light one. Mashma de aser l'mishu lo haniach v'hadlik lo rak ne'echad. It would seem that somebody who didn't mention lighting of candles is only allowed to light one, can't light as many candles as they would like. Now, your question actually, Daniel, is more of an answer. Where do we get the language of Eruv Tavshillin, of what you say? So we learn it from the deduction. So the Gemara, so Tosefos is saying we're deducing it from what you can or can't do if you do or don't make an Eruv Tavshillin. So since the Gemara is specifying that you can't just light candles without an Eruv Tavshillin, with one as an exception, probably that means, not probably, Tosefos has a very far-fetched thing. Many Rishonim say they don't understand why he's saying that. Moshe has Dibris Moshe on Beitza says, I don't understand Tosefos. Tzarchi, and I think he might even say Tzarchi and Gadol. Where does it say that you have to mention anything? This whole thing that you have to say, according to Tosefos, if you don't say it, you can't light candles. Why? This is not talking about what you say or you don't say. The answer.
Talking about the tefillah or what?
It's not talking about the tefillah. It's just talking about what you do or don't do. So Rav Moshe says, why is there a mashmos of what you have to say? What you say is, you're going to cook and bake, and that's it. And everything else, you don't have to specify the specifics. So most people don't understand why Tosefos is saying this. It's a good question on Tosefos. The bottom line is, the poskin, not like the Rambam, they poskin like Tosefos, but only l'chachila. Meaning, you should say, the Art Scroll Siddur has Ladluke Shraga, and to light candles. The Art Scroll Siddur, but the Art Scroll Siddur isn't telling you what to do if you forgot to say it. And if you ask any rabbi, if you forgot to say it, what do? They'll probably say, you can still light candles. Why? Because the Tosefos, like I said, the Rishonim don't agree with him. The Achronim don't agree with him. It's a very hard Tosefos to understand why he's so strong, that if you didn't say it, that you're not Yotze.
Is it really say or just in your mind?
Say, according to Tosefos.
Our rabbi used to say, like when I grew up, that you should count on my Eruv. Like he did as a rabbi, he did an Eruv, and he did it he put in his mind the whole community, and if someone forgot, he should count on his Eruv.
Yeah, that's very nice. Ignorance is bliss. It's true. So if you don't know, the rabbi is doing it for you. Don't come to the shir, and you'll be good. We talked about that last time. I said, if you're here at the shir, you're in trouble. If you're not in the shir, the rabbi is doing it for you.
That's true for davening, all the source that says that.
Hey, Daniel, you're getting too far away.
Sorry.
With Hotzah, you should say you need a Eruv Tavshillin for Hotzah too. Let's say on Friday afternoon.
Ah, it's a good question.
I want to walk to Long Island. Yeah.
It
But it's
carries
not for
something
today.
that you're going to need for
For
tomorrow.
tomorrow,
Okay.
yeah.
That's its own question.
I know, but it's you're using.
So some people say that, automatically it is covered somehow, but other people say it's really, the focus is really only on the cooking.
But it's extended. The lighting.
The Tosefos is saying you have to specify. Other people are saying you don't have to specify. Rambam is saying you don't have to specify. Okay, now that's number one. Number two, Tosefos in Divrei HaMaskal ein mechaber nesa abukas. Don't turn back to the Gemara yet. It's the fifth Tosefos on the page. We're skipping because I want to stick to the topic of lighting candles. There's a question you should know of, does minhag mevata halacha? What happens when you learn the Gemara, and the Gemara says one thing, and then you see that the minhag is not to follow the Gemara? What does that mean? Do we correct the people and say, Amaratzim, you probably didn't learn it? So a lot of times somebody learns Gemara and he finds out that everyone is doing a lot of things wrong. So he starts correcting them. And the truth is, usually it's a 16-year-old kid who only learned that Gemara, didn't learn other Gemaras, so doesn't even understand it, so they're wrong. So for example, there's certain Gemaras that say, I talk about a bathroom. But it's not a bathroom of today. It's a whole different thing. So a kid who doesn't know that, who's 15, will make a lot of mistakes and think that everyone's doing something wrong because he doesn't know the halacha. But even if somebody knows the halacha, there's always a question. If you know the halacha and the custom is not conforming to the halacha, who gives way to what?
Custom.
So the truth is, there's a lot of people who want to say the custom. And there was a lot of people, I remember I was in Berkeley and I said, this woman wrote a PhD on how many things we don't follow in halacha.
Yeah.
She wrote a whole thing about how many generations they didn't keep the halacha.
Chaim Soloveitchik, I heard a lecture from him.
Yeah.
He said this, that we should follow,
Yeah.
because halacha is not, it was always the rabbi.
There's
in
a
the
famous
community.
thing of
He
Chaim
invented,
Soloveitchik, Chaim Soloveitchik about the minhag, the minhagim that we learn from our mothers and things like that. Okay. What? Yeah.
The rabbis want to preserve their power.
That's what he says.
See, we have
That's
everyone.
exactly what he says.
Yeah.
In different words, but that's exactly what he said.
Okay. Then on the other hand, you have some rabbis who say, people don't know any better. Well, you're going to listen to people who didn't practice because they didn't know. We have to make a correction.
Yeah.
So, like, the leader of that, I think, is like the people who follow the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah has all of these chumras that, are from books. They weren't necessarily practiced.
Right.
It's not that he never gives credence to practice, but he weighs heavily on
Coming up with
mathematical psak, like saying, we have this rabbi and that rabbi, even if people didn't even know about those rabbis. That's a whole other question. If you didn't know about what the rabbi said, and now you find out 500 years later, 1,000 years later, they printed an edition that was hidden, you have to start changing, So these are all very real questions.
Rambam talks about when people stand up for the Aseres HaDibros.
Yeah.
Rambam's like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And even though people are doing it, we should correct them.
We should correct them, yeah. In our shul, we say, please stand up, unless your custom is to stay seated, and then stay seated. Because the Svardim don't generally stand up. Yeah. Anyway, so Tosefos says, this is an example of that type of Tosefos. First he says, Mikanya shlimchos es anashim sherigilos lahaseh psila. First he gives criticism. He says there are a lot of women that do this thing on Yom Tov. They take the wick out of the oil and they put it on the ground. They let it burn out because they want to preserve the oil for later.
Right.
And he says, but that's kiboy, or at least garam kiboy. That's putting it out candle. You're not allowed to put out a candle or oil on Yom Tov. That was the previous two Tosefos, and we'll get to them later. That's not what I want to talk about, so let's keep going. Mashamshanas alakarka v'chein shalom lichasas esar u'mashu nagu ha'olam lahad kaner miyad v'chavero ve'im edaktikim umhu laila. What about this custom that the world does, where it's Yom Tov Sheni Shel Galiyot? So Pesach is coming. Pesach is going to be, the first day of Pesach is Thursday. The second day is going to be Friday. So he says, we see many women are lighting Erev Yom Tov Sheni when it's still the first day of Yom Tov. You're not supposed to do something for the first day, for the second day. And it's not even Shabbos, it's 2 days of Yom Tov.
Why not?
Because you're only allowed to do something for that day. There's actually a shita, I believe it's Tosefos, if I'm not mistaken, who says if you cook something that you won't be able to eat that day because A, you're already full, and B, no guest can come because I'm cooking it the last possible second. It won't be ready on time. So you're over on a lav. You're over on a lav. It's a machlokas rishonim, but there is that opinion. So here I'm lighting it for tonight. Well, how am I allowed to light on Thursday day for Thursday night? Yom Tov Rishon to Yom Tov Sheni. Now, we just see 2 days of Yom Tov as one long Yom Tov. But in reality, it started as a Sveika Diyoma. We'll deal more with what that means. That means the first one day is in doubt. Usually the second day is in doubt. The first day is usually more definitive, and the second we do out of doubt. But we don't think about it like that. We just have 2 days of Yom Tov. In fact, everyone will tell you, 2 days of Yom Tov, because we're in Chutz La'aretz, we need more time to get into the holy place that in Eretz Yisrael they need only 1 day. So Tosefos says, Le'el Barashi Dava Hachana Ve'en Yom Tov Meichel L'Chavero. In addition to the idea of cooking, I was probably wrong in how I explained it, that like I'm cooking for the second day on the first day, that's forbidden if it's clearly no other way to explain it. There's a second related idea, which is called achana, which is I can't prepare something for matzah Yom Tov on Yom Tov. Here I'm preparing something, I'm getting a candle, I'm lighting a candle for the sake of the second day on the first day. I'm not allowed to do that. So,
Make it Eruv Tavshillin.
but it's both days are Yom Tov.
For what?
Eruv Tavshillin only works for Shabbos.
What about the
Why?
fact?
Why not?
Because it
Make one.
doesn't work. It doesn't work.
What you want?
Because it doesn't. They
The
never
whole
made
thing
it.
of the second day is not the second day. It might be the first day. So you can't treat it like there's a second day that exists. It doesn't exist. It only exists because it might be the first day. So why shouldn't the
Since it might-
halakha reflect that?
It's the second day, then it's a chol, it's a.
But it might be.
it's a chol.
And since the first day is the first day, so you're saying just treat it like one Yom Tov. I'm saying it's problematic to say that in this regard.
Well, the question about lighting early doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Eruv Tavshillin. It's on regular Yom Tov.
And we're not talking about Shabbos now. We're talking about Thursday day to Thursday night.
No, but even if it was a Tuesday.
Eruv Tavshillin doesn't work from one day of Yom Tov. It's harder to prepare from one day of Yom Tov to another than it is from Yom Tov to Shabbos. Yom Tov to Shabbos, you have this halachic workaround. You do not have that from one day A to day B of 2 weekday days of Yom Tov.
But how much do you have to
Guys,
eat?
let's. We're not going to get anywhere here.
All right, sorry.
Sorry. Yesh Leimar, the Afagav She'en Elayla Mikol Makom, Hu Samach L'Chashecha, V'Av Ba'osa Yom Tzarech Hu Osa Hadlaka. He gives an interesting legalistic answer to try. Now, the critics of this, of the methodology that Tosefos are using, are saying they're retroactively finding a way to twist the halacha to conform to the reality. But it's not necessarily true. It's an overstated concept here. And let me explain. Tosefos says, well, really, it's getting dark, so you need the candles as it's getting dark, even when it's not yet dark, the day is fading away. You want to have light then. So true, you mostly want it for later, but you also want it for now. That's his answer. Let me just ask you a question. It seems like there's a big stira in Tosefos, a big inner contradiction. We just got through saying in number one that if you didn't make an Eruv Tavshillin, you shouldn't, and not only are you not allowed to light Shabbos candles, as long as there's one candle somewhere in your house. Even if you made the Eruv Tavshillin, but you didn't specify Ulaluke Shraga to light candles, you shouldn't be able to light Shabbos candles. What do you mean? He just said you're lighting it because it's getting dark now. So some people want to answer it. So you hear the question? Here he finds a permission when it's day one weekday to day 2 weekday of Yom Tov to light for Yom Tov for the next night, but he has no permission unless you mention it La Luke Shraga by Friday to light for Shabbos on Yom Tov going into Shabbos. So some people answer, well, Mistama, when you light it on Erev Shabbos, you keep the 18 minutes, so you're lighting it when it's not dark. at all. It's not getting dark at all. It's fully light. So that's mistama. It's a fire answer that people answer in Tosefos. The Rashba has another answer. The Rashba's answer is, because halachically you're not allowed to light Ben Hashmashos on Friday afternoon. You can't light in the twilight. The rabbis required you to light it much earlier out of the Safek Yom, Safek Laila. So because you're not allowed to, you can't really explain that it's going on where you are right now, that you need it for now. No, the rabbis forbade you to do it a little later. So maybe if you were doing it for when you might really naturally need it, it would have been later. Now that the rabbis forbade it, it's showing that you're not doing it for now. Masha Ein Kain, on the other hand, when you're lighting it on one day of weekday for another day of weekday on Yom Tov, I say weekday, I mean like not Friday night. The fact that you could light it any time, and you light it now, means you want to light it now. You're getting something out of it now. So that's an answer. That's the Rashba's answer to help reconcile these two difficult, the internal steer and Tosefos. Let's talk about what was happening. There was a halachic authority called the Prisha. He wrote like 4 major halachic works on the Tur, and was starting to write on the Shulchan Aruch as well. And he changed the custom. When do we light Yom Tov candles today?
For day two.
After.
For day 2.
Later.
So I believe the source of that was his mother. His mother was a big Torah scholar. I mean, I know that he quotes his mother as having said that we were doing it wrong. We cannot light candles for the second day Yom Tov when it's still day. We have to wait till Tzeis HaKochavim, till nightfall, till the stars come out, and it's clearly Yom Tov, second day of Yom Tov. Why? Because she held it was wrong. She held that you can't do achana. You can't do something on the first day for the second day. And Ad Hayom Hazeh, many communities, most Ashkenaz communities, follow her custom. It's a woman who said she didn't hold the minhag trumps halacha. She held halacha is the halacha. We're going to fix it. So this is a little story of how the debate's been going on for a long time. You hear, Danny?
And it will continue.
And it will continue.
That's what we live
It's
for.
not settled.
Keep it going.
Yeah. Okay.
There is a certain amount of sacrifice though that you're giving up for Yom Tov Sheni by adopting this stringency.
Yeah.
You're foregoing the ideal situation, which is to light candles prior to the reception of the Yom Tov.
Yeah.
So the natural organic slot
Is to do it all the
is doing it
time.
a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So by being a little bit
So you're saying you're
cautious,
giving something up.
You're sort of
Yeah.
giving something up.
Yeah, and also it's going to be getting dark, and you're going to be like maybe slightly uncomfortable. You'll have one. You still have the yardstick candle burning. You could use a yonta. You could light a yardstick. The thing is, the Nata Gavriel says that maybe today, because we have electricity, the heter of the Tosefos doesn't apply anymore. Because the whole heter of Tosefos to light early is because we need it. We can still use it when we light it. Who's using your candle is not doing anything. A, it's not really dark, and B, the house is lit electrically. So he kind of so now you have an added thing. Does the technology affect the halacha here or not? And that's a whole other thing.
No,
So even if
no,
Tosefos' heter was okay, does that change Bisman Hazeh when you have electricity? Maybe it's a Metzias. Is it a Metzias or is it more like a halachic loophole? We don't care if there's electricity or not. It's a shayla. Post can talk about it.
Depends on who you ask, and whatever the answer is, there'll be somebody else will say the opposite.
The answer is follow your custom. My custom is to wait. I listen to the mother of the Prisha. Torah Simecha, but it's not because but this time the Torah Simecha is not because it was the custom. It was because that was what she said. That's the halacha.
What did your father do?
He followed the mother of the Prisha. And my mother did too. You better believe my father followed it because my mother followed it, Yeah. So that's generally, my parents are God-fearing people. Generally, I follow whatever they do, unless I don't want to.
That's my rule also.
But if I have a question, they raised me a certain way. I observed them observing, and that's like my baseline.
That's it.
Yeah.
What's the root source for why we need to light a candle for Yom Tov? Like for Shabbos, I can think of two. One is sort of
it's the same
Shalom
thing.
bias,
It's the same thing.
and also covet Shabbos.
Yeah, it was the same. It's the same. It's essentially the same, because you need to have shalom bias and so on. It's the same. Yeah.
Because
You're getting on because the Shema V'Zachar is primarily Shabbos, and Yom Tov is Simcha, and Shabbos is Einig, but it doesn't matter. It's still essentially the same. The same chiyuv is for
when
like
it comes to covet Shabbos, in the Rambam, that covet Shabbos is before.
Yeah.
And Oneg Shabbos is during.
Okay,
So
but that's because there's a question, So that's a little bit your thing of why maybe to answer the minhag that the Tosefos brings down of why they would have done it like that, which is good. It's again weiter in this is the minhag. Let's find a way to explain why it makes sense. That's an added nice explanation. But it's interesting. The same Tosefos says the women have to stop immediately doing this thing where they're pulling out the wicks and putting them on the floor so that they can save the oil because they're putting out the fire on Yom Tov. You're not allowed to put out fire. So you see clearly that if Tosefos feels that people are really violating something, he calls them out. Says you have to stop them, even though if it's custom, he doesn't care. But if he can find a halachic workaround, then he does. Okay.
So this is
That's a perfect Tosefos because it shows you it depends.
the putting out the fire is not really a minhag. It's just it's observance of the look of the.
It's not a minhag. It's just something they were doing, but they were doing that. I think he uses the lashon. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going. Number 3, Beis Hillel, and let's go back to the Gemara. The Gemara says the following. Ve'ein zok v'nesa menorah. We're on the 22A1, the right-hand side, 8 lines from the top. The Gemara 22A1. The Gemara now analyzes the second ruling of Beis Shammai that was taught in our Mishnah, which stated, Ve'ein zok v'nesa menorah. We may not straighten a menorah as a candelabra. The Gemara assumes this to mean that if a candlestick fell, he may not set it upright again. The Gemara therefore asks, my ka'avid, okay, it's Yom Tov, the candelabra fell. What are you doing wrong by putting it back up? It's no malacha. Amar Reb Chinana bar Bizna, hacha b'menorah shechuli usaskina. We're talking about a candlestick that has parts that you could assemble and disassemble. That would be the simple reading of it. And when it fell, some of the parts either fell off or became loose. Demersi kabona. When you put it up, it seems as if you're rebuilding it. But that's the opinion of Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel permits it. Why? Beis Shammai savri yesh binyan b'kelim, because it's a principle that what is building? Is building a building? You make a new wing of your house. That's the malacha on Shabbos and on Yom Tov of bona to build or not to build, or sosha to destroy. Is that when you're building something in your home or office, or is that when you're tinkering with a toy or with a menorah? So Beis Shammai says, yesh binyan b'kelim, yesh stir b'kelim. You can build a vessel. That is considered binyan. Beis Hillel sabri ein binyan b'kelim v'ein stir b'kelim. And Beis Hillel holds there's no building, but a vessel. A building is home. Building is on land, or a ohel at least, a tent that's somehow a residence. Now, the Rishonim point out There's one exception to this rule, which is the idea of makeh b'patish. Makeh b'patish is literally translated as the last bang of a hammer that completes something. What it could also mean is when the item is an act that makes the item definitively fit for whatever its intended purpose is, the utility of it. So, now, it's very interesting. Why would Hillel limit the idea of binyan, of let's say, the Beis HaMikdash? They built a sanctuary, right? V'asu li mikdash, v'shachanti b'socham. So what is it that it needs to be built? First of all, even the Mishkan would be built, and it would be also taken down. Which is how we learn, by the way, that the stira, taking something down, also is not allowed on Shabbos and Yom Tov. But I build one of the Klei HaMishkan, one of the many devices, instruments that were also mechanisms that allowed and affected the Hasharat Hashkina, whether it was the Mizbeach, or the Aron, or the Shulchan, the Menorah. Talk about Menorah here. So let's go focus on Menorah. Menorah has a function. But the function of menorah is, in the home you have a table, and on the table you put a menorah, and on the menorah you put oil and wicks and you light it. Running around the street with a menorah, that's not the function of a menorah. Maybe a flashlight, but the menorah is something you put on your table. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now we're going to go a little deeper. Number 4. But just to explain that every mitzvah has 2 components of it. Or if you want to break it down even further. One is a cookie. The second is a table. And the third is a home. You eat the cookie, but the proper way to eat it is not. The Gemara has very bad things to say about when you eat on the street.
Yeah.
I still like it. By the way, there's a great Gemara. This is a total not relevant. I shouldn't be saying this. That has how many thousands of outdoor restaurants they had in Rome. Tens of thousands. I just heard on Instagram, somebody shared it with me, that in Rome, they didn't cook in their houses and they had hundreds of restaurants in every neighborhood. Like the Gemara is true. I was like, what the hell is the Gemara talking about? But apparently they didn't let you cook in your home because it would burn down Rome.
Right.
So you had to eat in a restaurant. So they had neighborhoods that were just restaurants. I'm like, okay, that's just an aside. Sometimes when you read the Gemara, you actually don't even know what you're really reading something that would is lost to history. Somebody just figured this out. They probably did a PhD. They spent 20 years figuring this out. It's in the Gemara the whole time. And that's a tangent. So we're back to the cookie, the table, and the home. They each represent, the shulchan, the cookie on the table, represents the simcha we have in each other's company. God gave us a need to eat, not just to make us dependent on food, but to give us an opportunity to come together.
Fraternity.
And that's the Mizbeach. Yeah. That's the Mizbeach. That's the altar. And that's the keilim. And you need light. It's dark. He made it dark. You know why? So you could have light. He made it cold. So you could put on a fire. But it all happens in a house. The house is the avos, so to speak. The house is we're Yerush a house. That's why nobody can afford a house anymore, because if you didn't get it from your parents, who's paying for the house, right? It's a Yerusha. It represents a Yerusha from our avos. So that's what Beis Shammai is saying. Everything is a keli. Even the yardstick that he was not an engineer, an architect.
Shammai?
Shammai was an architect. He had a job, yeah.
Figures.
That's why he was always angry. He had to work and learn. It's very hard. The other guys aren't Kylo. He's not happy about it. He's not happy. He's like, I have to support my son-in-laws, Anyway, so this must be a little bit of the Hillel Svara. That he says, Ein binyan b'kelim, ein stir b'kelim. Real binyan is happening in a home. Like a Mishkan, because that's where the Hashras Hashchina is. So, Tosefos says, number 4, and I want to remember the Ishbitzer so much on this. He said something beautiful, I can't remember it. I was looking it up yesterday, I couldn't find it anywhere. But basically, Tosefos says there's a Gemara in Shabbos, it's the complete opposite of this, that says that if you drop a menorah that is parts, you can't pick it up. Everyone agrees you can't pick it up. But Yochanan and Rosh Lakish, they argue if it looks like it has different parts, because it's engraved as if it would be like it had parts, and it's a small menorah. If it's a big menorah, they're usually made out of parts. Even if it isn't, you can't pick it up because it looks like it is. But if it's small, then maybe the small one, I would say, that's a small menorah. It's not of parts. You don't make a gzera for gzera, you could pick it up. That's a machlokas there. Rabbi Yochanan Rosh Lakish. So Tosefos says, what's going on? Why are they so strict there? And here we're saying almost like its parts fell apart and you could put it together, and there you're saying it's one menorah, and there's an opinion that says you can't even pick it up at all. Because it might look like it. It's like, why? So the Tosefos answers, there is Shabbos, here is Yom Tov. Pnei Yeshua and others say, what's the difference? What, there's no muksa on Shabbos? It's not really muksa per se. The Gemara there thinks, in the Havin it's muksa. And then the Maskana is it's more, not muksa per se, it's more like a gzera of fixing something. Or it might look like you're going to fix something. So why is there no gzera by Yom Tov? The answer is Simchas Yom Tov, the Pnei Yeshua says. That's an interesting thing. Simchas Yom Tov is machriya the halacha. It's a naya maisa. He says it's very clear. Like he says, other people. He says everyone else has it wrong. They give other answers. He says no. It's Simchas Yom Tov. That's what the Pnei Yeshua says. Number 5. How are we doing on time?
It's interesting about Hillel and Shammai.
Yeah.
It's the same story.
10 minutes.
Yeah, Hillel and Shammai.
Because Hillel,
They take a lot of space up, by the way. In this
Hillel,
Masechta.
there's no such thing as a kli yet. Shammai says we have a full clearing.
Shammai is very into Kalim.
It's complete.
That's why he chases with the yardstick.
Yeah.
Also, Shvi says
Shammai was the character.
Shvis is Kalim, yeah.
probably something separate. It's the same. I mean,
Yeah.
also Shammai, it's not.
Number 5. Tosefos versus the Rosh and Divrei HaMaschal Hamistapek. So if we look in Tosefos, we go back to 22 Chav Beis Amud Aleph, the third Tosefos. Tosefos says, the Gemara says that if somebody has an olive oil lamp, and they tilt it in the other direction. Let's say the natural tilt is so that the oil goes into, there's like maybe oil is here and then the wick is here.
Right.
Right? And they tilt it the other way because they want to take the oil for themselves to use for something else. It's mavir. It's kiboy. It's extinguishing a candle. Tosefos asks the question. It's not kiboy, it's called garam kiboy. Garam or grama is a word that means I do something that will eventually cause something else to happen. It's not direct. It's I take oil away from something. I don't put out the fire. I take something that will make the fire go out in 2 minutes instead of 2 hours. I didn't put out the fire, I just made it go out sooner. He says the problem with that is that the Gemara in Shabbos talks about a case where a fire starts. And you really should put out any fire that starts on Shabbos because 99.9999 chance it's sakanas nefashos. It's going to kill people. People will die from smoke inhalation, from burns. So you put it out. But let's say the person sees it's a contained fire. He doesn't want to be Mechal Shabbos. So he'll put it out if it gets any bigger. But in the meantime, he doesn't think it poses a threat. He puts water, big jugs of water all around it that will burst open as soon as the fire, gets them hot, and the water will put out the fire. That's allowed even if there's no sakana. Even if, let's say, I'm on a desert island, and I have a little, it's surrounded by something that's fire retarded, but I want to protect this table, so I put a little fire here, I put cups of water all around it, and they're going to cause the water to go out, just to save a table. It's permitted.
Why would it be that?
Because you're causing the fire to go out. So Tosefos asks,
Not for sure.
in our Gemara it seems to say causing a fire to go out is a malacha, and the Gemara there says it isn't. So the Gemara, so Tosefos answers that it must be that if it will go out, it's not the same as you're putting it out. Our Gemara must be when you tip the oil, you're actually making it go out. If not all the way, you're making it go from like a nice flame to like only a quarter of the size or half the size. So the Tosefos is being mechalak. He's making this distinction that putting something half out is kind of like mechaba. He says the word as a machlokes of how to read it. He says the word he uses is mechabiksat v'lechein nira kikiboy. He uses these like diminished words of mechabiksat. It's a little going out, and it appears to be kiboy. Does it appear to be kiboy? Make it kiboy or not? Is it kiboy or does it look like kiboy? So the machlokes of how to read that Tosefos. But the Rosh doesn't agree with Tosefos, and he says, here's the following. This is important. The Rosh says the difference is like this. How do your mind, even if technically it's the same, when I put water around fire, I can circle the thing with water. It will go out when it reaches the water. Or I pour the oil out. It will go out sooner because I took away its thing. But it's not at all the same. What's the difference? One is outside of the fire. The water is outside of the fire. The oil is the fire. But the process is similar. I'm causing the fire to go out sooner rather than later. No, it's not the same. This is, I think, Rav Elchanan explains this. He says, when you make a contraption that the oil goes into the wick, that goes into the fire, that is mechaba when you take out that oil, because it becomes one entity. When you put something else outside of the fire that will eventually stop the fire, it's a separate entity. Even if it does cause the fire to go out after the fact, we don't see that as an act of a malacha. The point is, it's the intention of the connectivity that makes that affects the malacha. Okay, we have time for one more.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Okay. Should we talk about Eliakim? We love Eliakim. And Purim. Okay. Number 6, the light in the bedroom. Is it okay to put it out for intimacy on Yom Tov? This you could do on your own time. But here's the story.
Keeps the light on overnight anyhow.
Somebody, he likes to read. He's a big kailul guy. And then he realizes his wife went to the mikveh. So you're not supposed to be intimate with your wife
With the lights on?
with the lights on.
That's a halacha?
Everything's
It is halacha. Yeah.
But what about if you're not into it? Nobody's into it with the dark.
I'm with you.
You're not into it.
Give me, you're stealing my Torah, but thank you. You're helping me out here. So the Gemara says, one rabbi says to another, can I put out the light if I want to be with my wife? And he says, don't you have another house, another room? He says, no. He says, put up a mechitza. I don't have a mechitza. Block it somehow. I can't block it. He says, then you can't. There's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. And the Tosefos raises, and the Gemara says, what do you mean? There's a brisa that says you can put it out. And that says that's the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda. I don't hold like Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, so that's number 7 and 8. But number 6 is, here's the Purim Torah. There's a Gemara in, I think, Tesvav, a Megillah, that says there's the 4 most beautiful women of the world, and each one had a koyach, had a certain seductive power that would drive men crazy. And King Saul had a daughter named Michal. I don't think she made the top 4 list.
No.
Did she?
Honorable mention.
She's part of the conversation. And he says, her beauty was with her sight. She looked, the one had a beautiful voice. One had, if you remembered her, she was the most beautiful. Her voice, her seeing her was her thing. So the Marsha, Chedusha Agadas Marsha says, where do we see that? He brings it, he says, she was looking from behind the window when like Shaul was dancing. She was not Shaul, David. She's the one who cursed that David for dancing in the loincloth. So here's a thought came to me. What is beauty of somebody you see? Somebody who's kol kfud bas melech pnima. She's a queen. She didn't want to be with the common people, so she hid. But you could see her for 1 second. Like the Zohar has a story like that about the girl behind the curtain, behind the window, and what's it called again? The maiden without eyes. No one sees her, but it doesn't mean no one sees her. The opposite. When you're hidden, when you're finally seen, you create allure. The reason why you go to the beach and the women could have bikinis, like, who cares? Because you can see too much. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to see what you can't see. They want to see what you can't see. So that's why you can't be mishah. You can't be intimate with your wife when the light is on. Nobody wants to see that much. It's too much. So you want to have the light off. But the rabbis sing back and forth. Maybe I want to see something. It can't be completely dark. I say, okay, so that's the Gemara. That's the back and forth. Anyway, l'chaim. Aliyah Shama for El Yakim.
It's the same machloket for Shama Beitza Daf. Shama says the kli is done.
The kli is what?
It's finished. Gemara Tikkun, it's ready. The whole, it's the kli, development of the kli.
Here, Lou. The kli is the tikkun already happened.
At the kli. Beitza Daf.